Welcome back to the channel. I'm Hank Strange. This is StrangerPalooza. Right now we're actually in Raynham, Massachusetts, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, and we are here with Philippe Marcotte. Am I saying it right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Almost with
Panoramic.
the French accent. That's good.
You know, a little, I've been practicing. You're of course with Panoramic RV.
The founder of Panoramic RV.
Absolutely. And if you guys out there have watched any videos, you've probably seen Philippe in there. And definitely our audience has asked us to, take a look at what Panoramic has to offer. So,
well, we're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than happy. It's an honor to have you here in Massachusetts. I'm very happy that you were able to come and meet us at this event. We have this event here near Boston.
obviously your vans are available here in America, and I believe you guys have is it a factory or a service center or something in California now?
Yeah, no, we do have a factory in California, just north of LA. I think that we've opened that place in 2020, so it's already 5 years old. It was important for us. We had so many customers in the US that at one point, you have to commit, not only ship product here, but also manufacture product here. So that's what we started 5 years ago.
Awesome.
So, yeah, our main factory is in Canada, not far from Montreal, so East Coast, and of course my little accent is French,
Right.
so
Very
the
nice.
French part of Canada.
Very nice, yeah. And I think you're kind of like relocating now to one central location.
Yes, in the last few years, I mean, we've grown quite a bit, so we spread it into different offices, and now we're moving. Actually, we're moving this week in a completely new building that we built. It's been 1 year that we've been working on that, and it's going to be opening in just a couple of weeks. So it's
Awesome.
pretty impressive, and of course it's going to allow us to increase our production capacities. So.
Very cool. And now I know you guys build on a Ram ProMaster, obviously, but I think you also have a Transit. I don't know if that's available yet in the US.
Yes,
It is available.
Yes, we started. I mean, we didn't bring the Transit here. We'll organize something next time for you to see that. But we're actually our first unit in the US, because the Transit was brought 2 years ago to the Canadian market, but our first unit in the US market is now on the West Coast. So we're doing that whole tour on the West Coast, showing that unit, and we named it the Perspective. So synonym with the panoramic vision and all those windows,
Right.
we have the same thing on the Perspective.
Yeah. Of course, like anyone who watches this channel knows that's my favorite platform to build on, the Ford Transit. I think it's awesome and amazing. Let's take a look at this, share this with the folks, and then if we get a chance, I would love to.
I think that my only fear by showing you the Perspective is that you fall in love, and then,
man.
you're going to have to switch to it. So that's why let's wait a little bit more before you see it.
All right, you're teasing me, I get it. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, so Philippe, first of all, let's say we've got some folks out there who are not familiar with Panoramic and yourself. You want to just give folks out there a quick rundown?
There's a couple of very key points to the Panoramic. The first one will be obvious when we step inside it. It's the manufacturing quality. We're known to have a very high, very refined design and manufacturing quality, so we'll be able to see that. A second point is all the windows around it. So the name Panoramic comes from all these windows. Most of the time we see vans with very small windows, of course, to reduce cost. What we want to have is full windows all around. We know people who are buying these vans, they like to connect with nature. So for us, having those continuous windows is very important.
I always tell people the beautiful thing about vans, even though people say, well, they're almost as expensive, if not more so, than houses. And I say, for sure, but your house cannot move to different locations and give you these beautiful views. We took this one yesterday down by a river, which sounds cliche in the van world, but it was very nice. We even backed it up to the river, and Lola saw some ducks out there. It was, you want to see that view.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially living in such a small space.
The other point is having those windows makes it feel bigger. When you're inside, I hear often people say, I'm afraid of a van, it might be too small, and I am a little bit claustrophobic. So when they step inside the Panoramic, because of the light colors and all the windows, it feels bigger. We also have that additional skylight that brings even more light. And the third point I would say very special to the Panoramic is that European floor plan, where we, instead of having a bed at the back that turns, a couch at the back that turns into a bed, now you have that permanent bed area huge storage space under the bed, and permanent dining table for 4 adults at the front with the 2 additional seat belts. And for me, it's a big game changer, because with the previous design, because for me it's an evolution of the van life, with the previous design, I have an issue with my wife. She wants to stay in bed in the morning, and I'm super early. So when I wake up, I need to have a nice table to work. I need to have a space where I can do breakfast, and I don't want to kick her out of bed. So that European floor plan allow me that. That's really what we have on the Panoramic, is that permanent bed at the back, huge cargo space, and then that very nice functional table. And it's also nice because, you know, right when you stop driving, very quickly you can swivel the seat, very quickly you can open the sliding door without stepping outside of the van, you know, going outside and opening the back doors. And you can drop the mosquito screen. So within less than 60 seconds, you're sitting by that huge sliding door.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I think we're looking at a Classic here, I believe, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
It's good to mention that, because there is, the Classic is the original model that made us known in the US. And the Classic originally comes with propane cooktop and a Truma combi that runs on propane. So we have propane for the Truma combi, propane for the stove, and the floor plan is the original Classic Panoramic floor plan. Now, since the last 2 years, we offer the Panoramic Model G, which now, instead of having the heater and water heater running on propane, we run with the Truma Combi G that runs with the fuel. So we're sipping fuel from the fuel tank of the ProMaster. So now the heater, water heater is on fuel, and we replace the propane cooktop by induction cooktop.
So that's for the folks out there who want no propane, that's the option. And then I think you have another one.
And we have the GL. So the GL is a G with no propane, but with a lengthwise bed instead of a perpendicular bed. So sometimes, you know, people want an easier entrance in the bed. The GL might be interesting, but you know, there are pros and cons to each design. So when you go to the GL, the kitchen is shrinked a little bit, the fridge is a little bit smaller. The best way sometime to compare the model, on the website there is a product comparison sheet where you can see what's the difference between all of them.
For me, propane is very efficient. As long as you can figure out places to get it filled, you know, propane's pretty good.
I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want propane. I say, I can understand it, but at the same time, we have to remember something. Right now, yes, maybe I'm offering a fuel alternative, but tomorrow, if we have electric chassis, if we have an electric Transit, an electric ProMaster, or an electric Sprinter, I won't have any fuel. So I'm going to be back to propane. So sometimes propane is not necessarily something of the past. It could very well be something of the future.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It could be an extender. So, my personal opinion, I think we can go there now, but I don't know if we will. So maybe, you know, people will go to like a hybrid or something like that. And, you know, and it still might be a good option. This has a generator, or does this have batteries?
Yeah, batteries only, lithium battery pack. We stopped providing generators in 2019 was the last one we built, simply because nowadays with the huge lithium battery pack, there's so much autonomy that there is really no point of having a generator. Of course, it also affects ground clearance, and most of the time, you know, we tend to back up over the curb to save some parking space. And also, you already have a generator with the engine. You know, you can always, at any time, if you would really need it, you could always turn the engine on, and then you would have the alternator charging your battery.
Does this have a second alternator? I always like to do the outside, the chassis first. Is the second alternator here, or
we don't? This is something that is very important to us. We really avoid touching anything to the chassis, just because we don't want to void warranty. We don't want to complexify anything when it gets to the dealership for repair. So for us, we keep it simple, but we do go for the larger heavy-duty alternator, the optional one from Dodge.
Yeah, and that comes from Ram.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So
it's
that's
original,
definitely covered.
Original, absolutely. For us, it's proven thing.
How big is the battery pack on this?
So-
How many amp hours?
So there is 2 options, but more and more we tend to go, I mean, everybody always want to have the bigger, so we mostly do 600 amp hour of lithium. 4 batteries of 150 amp hour, and we use a standard battery format, so down the road for maintenance, just easier to replace. If you have a battery problem in Alaska, that does not mean that your trip has ended and that you have to come back because nothing functioned in the van. You could definitely find replacement over there. So
do you have like 6 100 amp hour batteries, or
no.
what kind of pack?
Smaller battery pack will be 4 times 100. The bigger battery pack will be 4 times 150 amp hour. That gives you that total of 600 amp hour.
Oh, okay. And what company is that from? Or is that something you guys do?
It's a brand that is not super well known. It's a brand that was engineered in Canada. It's called Wtih. It's a very high brand. It's a self-heated battery and a Bluetooth battery. It got all the features on it. Very impressive warranty also. Again, we try to pick the best component, and this battery, although it's not well known, it's a very refined brand of battery.
Okay, cool. Let's walk around and just do the outside first, if you don't mind. So when you're ordering a ProMaster, are there specific things you guys are looking at? Are you just ordering it fully loaded? How do you approach that?
Yes, this is usually the way we go, fully loaded, because our clientele is usually expecting the highest quality, the best equipment. They don't want us to remove some option to save money. So every possible option available.
Digital rear view, all the safety stuff.
360 camera, lane departure system, adaptive cruise control, even the park assist is everything that is possible. We have it, of course. You see on this particular unit that we changed the wheel. I mean, we have a lot of demand for that. We call that the black package. You know,
Yeah, these are all terrain.
The KO2.
Cool.
Now we're slowly moving to the KO3. So black Rhino Sequoia wheel. So it just
looks
gives
good.
a nice, and sometimes people can choose to go also with a black grille if they want to have the full black package. But this is something very common that we do, and we do have other options. So, but we do a little bit of personalization. So we also do full color match if they want to have all the because Dodge from
so
the
I can
factory,
have this match. I noticed you do have a step here.
We use the Wtih step just because it's a reliable product. You know, we have that switch to operate it, and we also have, of course, an automatic feature. As soon as we turn the ignition, the step will automatically
closes.
Yes, of course, because we don't want you to forget about it. That might happen. So
I don't want a Mad Max like a motorcycle or something.
On top of the Wtih step, we also use the Wtih awning. This is the best quality brand that we can find. It's got a pretty good length and a pretty good extension.
This is Omni Store. From Wtih.
Very reliable, and it's an awning with legs, because sometimes if you want to withstand a little bit more wind, you need to anchor it. Otherwise, if you don't have any anchor, the risk of it catching the wind is a little bit bigger. So this one has integrated legs in the cassette, so when you pull it, then you can drop the legs and anchor it in the floor. You also see exterior shower, exterior propane connection, exterior electrical outlet.
Cool.
The goal of having all of this on this side is, of course, we expect that you might be setting up some kind of exterior kitchen here with the barbecue. You might be cooking.
Little sink.
You want to have hot and cold water outside, or you might plug an induction cooktop outside or an electrical grill if you want. So this is why all these features are on this side and not on the other side.
I thought it was a Canadian
and of course,
thing.
Protected under the awning also.
Oh, that makes sense. That is good to see that all right here. So you can plug in power. That is a propane tank. It's a little shower, but if you can use that like a wash-up sink or whatever if you wanted to. Very, very cool. And I noticed from the outside, you've got windows.
The awning style windows.
Right here. This is glass.
Yes, and for us, again, very important, because we want the windows to be able to open awning style. If it rains, we can still run the max fan and have a proper ventilation. We always have the choice to go with smaller acrylic windows, but again, you know, we want to have something durable like glass, and we also want to have that huge surface where we have that vision from the inside on the outside.
In this door, this doesn't open, and same thing with this one, right?
That's correct. So the windows in the bedroom on both sides open, and then the window around the dining table open to give you that ventilation, but these ones cannot open.
Right. And then I think there's a cabinet for the refrigerator here inside.
That's correct. Fridge is there. Most company will remove that window. For us, it's important. We prefer to have the window, and then we use when I'm washing dishes, well, I still have a view outside.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. So, okay, we're around the back here, and you have a garage, which I think is really cool, because this kind of a setup allows you, a lot of times I make my plans at the last minute. That's what I love about a van. You don't really have to make a bunch of plans. Just throw your stuff in and then go and figure it out along the way and sort everything out later. So have you been doing this the whole time, the garage?
Of course, since the very beginning, because again, it's part of the European floor plan where we have that raised bed to create that huge cargo section. Having the bed at that height, we end up being right in the line of the windows. So when I wake up in the morning, I have that view. I'm right in that height where I can see everything outside. I just have to pull the blind up. You also probably know that the bed flips completely. So sometimes we might need to bring larger items inside.
So we can get up. Is it something easy to do?
Yeah.
So the mattress, I see. Okay, and then this just goes up.
Absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
And then you snap it into position.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And I could fit some super big items in here. But there's another thing that I like to do is I don't like to have my bikes inside when I'm traveling, because I want to keep this for all the backpack and all the gear that I have, and the table and the chair and everything.
Okay.
So this is pretty loaded. I keep my bike outside, and use an hotel. Maybe I feel unsafe leaving the bike. I could always flip that and slide the bike inside.
And I know you wanted to mention, so anyone checking out the video, if you notice, there's like tape and this green stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously you have the show going on here.
And we just wrapped everything, so the floor would remain intact. So there's don't worry, it's not part of the design. Right, so we can always show additional storage.
I don't see this often. Who builds your cabinets and stuff like that?
We have a few companies that supplies us, because as we grow, we have our own shop, but it's external. It's in our factory, because we see ourselves more as a perfectionist in assembling vehicles rather than working around wood cabinets. So we find people that have the latest and finest technology to build the best cabinetry, and then we challenge their quality. So it's our design, but the fit and finish and everything, we make sure that what they do respects our standard.
Okay. So when you push it in like that, that locks it.
Yep.
Okay.
So this one is the inverter panel.
Oh, okay.
And I can always show it to you.
Let's take a look. Oh, okay. So this is where you would do your emergency shut off.
This is emergency or winterization, and you want to completely disconnect the battery.
So
any kind
of storage.
We use the Xantrex 3000 watt inverter.
You can run the AC.
AC directly from.
So what's in this side?
This one is the fresh water tank.
Oh. Okay.
You also see there is that red hose is a hose for winterization, because we can do a quick winterization. It's maybe a 10-minute process. Water pump is there, so super easy access for maintenance eventually, not difficult to remove.
Like, let's say I'm worried because I'm pretty rough and I throw things in here and I might get scratched up. Can I do add some kind of surface here, make it tougher, or?
You could, but this is hard.
Robust?
This is not paper. This is marine plywood inside the panel, and this is strat wood on the side.
Oh, okay. So
this
pretty
is not
solid.
paper. Oh yeah. You can
pretty solid stuff. Okay.
Try to find the best ingredients. So we want to have something durable. You will also notice that on the drawer, this is nylon edging. This is not really used by the industry, so this is super durable. It encapsulates everything
so water and
dripping.
Stuff can't go. Okay.
And
cool.
also, if you knock it with a screwdriver or something, it does not delaminate it. It kind of take a lot of beating before it's doing anything.
So it would stand up to a savage, even like myself.
You know, I've been very rough. I'm throwing stuff in there. I like to test the van to the ultimate limit.
So here, I don't know if we could take this down.
Yeah,
I see you guys
course.
have it up here for the show.
Yeah.
Oh, this is pretty nice. Actually, I like this. This is
It's
good.
called roll left. They're nice.
Oh, roll left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're
I
nice.
like what they did here. This is cool.
There's also a line of Velcro inside, so you can stick it.
You
but
can stick
now
it,
it's now it's taped. You
can
can
halfway
open
open
this if
Very
you want
cool.
to just add
love
the
it, yeah.
cargo.
So
like
you could
that.
roll back up here.
Yeah, and
do
you
that.
can
Oh, that's awesome.
open from the inside the blackout part, and then have that ventilation.
I like roll-off stuff. You have that probably. I think you have it at the sliding door.
Yes.
Oh,
very,
cool. We'll show
very
that.
high quality product, very durable, built for northeast, smaller mosquito.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't even see through it, actually. Do you use roll-off for the sunshades that come with this, for the windows up front?
Sometimes we do. We offer it as an option, but our basic privacy screen is so easy to set up. It's so compact.
And then also, what I like is you still have some blinds back
Yep,
here.
additional layer that makes them retain
out
all the light.
yeah.
See that curtain there is meant to separate the room.
Oh, so if someone looks in,
And-
okay.
Yeah, so they don't see us,
Oh,
and even if
okay.
the light is on, I can drop this blackout roll left.
Yeah, you can't see anything back here either. Yeah. Do you guys put any insulation in the doors? I noticed you have a
Yes.
panel covered
Yes.
here. Okay.
Yes, we add as much as we can. Panoramic was tested at Truma headquarters. We obtained the gold certification. In my opinion, it's probably the most insulated van on the market.
Okay. Yeah, and I see this is for the awning under here.
It's just an emergency crank.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. So not all the time, but if you had to hand crank it, you have
yeah,
that.
because the awning is electric.
Right.
So you really don't need that, but you know, we provide a crank if the motor is broken or something is completely bad.
Exactly. Okay.
You could probably try to retract it. So it's not meant to extract, but just to retract it in case of emergency.
Cool. And then you've got obviously a light and a power plug here, which is awesome. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we do have a lot of customer with sometimes electric bikes. So sometimes they will put their battery charger for the electric bike at the back. They can connect there. Sometimes you can see that we have also electrical plug there. We have 12 volt, and 120 volt and 120 volt because lots of people are using CPAP. So sometimes we recommend they use a 12 volt adapter. So we have like in diagonals like that where they can plug depending on which position they sleep. But sometimes they don't buy the adapter and they prefer using the 120 volt outlet for their CPAP. So that's why we also have this one here and the other one to give them
so if
closer.
they would use that adapter so they don't have to turn on the system, the electrical system.
So it draw a lot less power. So I always recommend anybody that have a CPAP, usually it's a $70 adapter, easy to...
Very cool. I don't know if we have anything on this side. I see the
Truma exhaust.
Oh, there you go.
Water fill here, electrical
Oh, is this
plug.
the fill? Okay.
Yep. So just the cap, you pull the...
Oh, you pull that off. Oh,
yeah.
okay, and then you could use this to tighten,
yep.
etc. And then your 30 amp.
Yeah, electrical 30 amp, and there's a little light here. We do have a little switch inside on the B-piler, so sometimes if I'm arriving late at the site, when I'm on the driver's seat, there is a small switch here.
Oh.
So even if I'm still in the driver position and trying to park in a campground,
you can turn that on.
I can turn that on.
Yeah, see the light's on over here, Lola.
Yes, and there is an additional light
right
at
here,
the
now
back.
it's on.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And there's an additional light also at the back, higher up. So if you have bikes on the bike rack with cover, that light will give you also additional light so you can park.
Looks like, is that your black tank? Black and gray down here?
Yeah,
looks
black
like.
tank and gray
right here,
tank.
Lola. How big is it?
The black tank is 16 gallon.
Okay.
The gray tank is 24.
That's pretty good.
Last time I checked, I think that the Panoramic have the largest tank like for fresh gray and black water. So it's meant for more
How
autonomy.
big is the gray?
24 gallon gray.
24, okay.
And then 35 gallon fresh.
For the fresh, that's pretty good. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Now, this is your battery here that we're looking at, or is this the tanks? No, these are the tanks then.
This is really the black tank. The gray tank is
okay.
in the middle under the van, and the batteries are at the back.
At the back.
Like not far from where we saw the
okay.
inverter.
Do you deliberately have this where it's like more in over there? Do you see this?
The slope?
It's kind of like on a slope.
Yes, because of course the slope will help when you dump.
Gravity.
The gravity
Yeah,
will
that's
help
a good
you.
idea.
It's also a regulation from the RVIA or
Okay.
within the UL
Oh, I see.
standard.
Yeah.
You have to have a slope in your tank. So we
Okay.
have to respect some guidelines with that.
Oh, cool. Like we saw on the other side, you do have the awning windows, but then you also have some up front here.
Yeah.
When we go in there, you guys will see this is your seating.
We can also see outside a little bit if we
Yeah,
look at
the solar
the
panels.
roof. Yeah, we have 2 solar panels, so 2 times 200 watt for 400 watt, and then we have of course a TV antenna there with the Wi-Fi range
then
extender
there's
and
the
router,
Truma.
and the Truma Aventa air conditioner.
Pretty cool. And then of course you can see the
Skylight.
yes, the skylight
Yeah.
right there. Very nice. You guys, you know, we go in, we'll see that. Your gas tank will be here. Front wheel drive,
Yeah.
very preppy.
Yeah, that's
Peppy
why
kinda engine.
sometimes that's why I like to switch to those off-road tire because they offer a better traction.
Yeah.
And it's nice to improve a little bit the traction if you're going onto steep hills or gravel road.
You find a beach somewhere you want to
Yeah.
adventure on.
Yeah.
It's not all-wheel drive, but it is front wheel.
A beach, I'm always nervous because even with 4-wheel drive,
can
you
get
can
stuck.
get stuck pretty
Yes.
far. So
Yeah. I would carry some recovery boards or something like that. It happens to everyone. So, okay, so we're gonna go in now. So just here at the door, let's start from the door. I think you were showing off the switch for this step up into
yeah,
there.
that's the switch for the step in and out, and then we have a few light switch here.
What's that first one? Oh, that's out
First
here.
one is for outside.
Okay.
For under the,
the
awning.
awning.
The 2 others are for the interior ambience light. And of course, these are all dimmable. And you see for us, this is a little attention to detail. You see, I reduced the ambience light to
Yeah.
the minimum.
Oh,
And
so you can dim.
yeah, so at night it's very nice because you can have that very cozy ambience, but
Yeah.
also what is even more important, and again, these little things show how much we care about the design in the environment. You know, most RV will use simply the puck light, and you know, they're pretty straight in your eyes when you open them. For us, it's called indirect lighting. You know, we illuminate the ceiling of the van, so it feels like more warm, and it feels
More
like
open.
yes,
Yeah,
and it's not
okay.
like straight in your eyes. It just gives you that light. So
And then even there's a light down here. It
Yep.
looks like you have like is that a heating
one
duct?
of the Truma duct. There is one more duct there. There's 5 vents in the van because the nice thing about the Truma system, the Truma Combi, is that it creates a very even temperature, very precise temperature, because we distribute the heat very evenly throughout the whole van. There is not like a hot spot because there is only 1 outlet or 2 outlet. It creates a very nice temperature inside.
I think we were talking about this at the back. So there's another one of those roll-off
Yeah.
doors here. We can show that off. There we go. Which
And
is
then-
awesome. Yeah, this is pretty good quality.
Yep, and the
Yeah,
nice
I'm
thing with
impressed
this
by
one is that once you have it in place, you don't have to open it, you know, to zip
Yeah,
it.
that's
you
great,
just have that magnet, so you pull on it, go in, or you just push from the interior.
Yeah, I like it. It's, you know, it's pretty solid, but like you're saying, you could just push through. So your pet or whatever.
And most, you see, again, small details. For us, it shows how much we care. Most company will use black mosquito screen. So of course black will attract more light, but also for us, we want to have a lighter color to make it feel bigger. So we push the manufacturer to provide us with a gray.
Oh, so this is not
door.
normal to see.
Every
in this
van
color.
that I've seen on the market, they always have black doors.
Right, yeah.
So for us, that was important. Again,
Nice little tidbit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. This is pretty good. I could tell that it is a high quality material. I like that. You know, I like the
Yeah.
idea of the soft goods, but yes, it needs to be a good quality. It needs to actually work.
And we know that, you know, most people buying a camper van, we can see them down the road, you know, 20 years later. So we have to think about providing the customer with a quality product that they won't replace in 2 years or 3 years. So when I see very nice quality component like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but again, you know, the customer deserve to have that extra quality.
Sure.
You know, I have a certain medical background, so for me, I wanted the van to be very ergonomic. And so you will notice that we have certain drawers like the cutlery drawers, and usually this is the one that we use for cups and glass here.
Okay.
And then our garbage can drawer, because
Nice.
these are the drawers that we open 20, 30 times a day.
Right.
And you know, when I'm setting up something outside, or if I cook something, I will need the garbage can. I will forget a knife or a fork,
Yeah.
and then
Want
I
a
don't
cup.
need to walk all the way
Yeah.
back in the van. I have direct access from this
Yeah.
level, and we also have
Oh, extra cutting board
a
or
little, yeah, or if we are sitting in this chair, we could use this. to
yeah.
put
No,
our
I like the
garbage.
idea of this doing this, and you know, I've seen other things do something similar, but I like having the garbage and everything here. Like you said, it's easy, but then also even when you're inside, being here at the door, you're inside, you have the door closed, you can have access to it here. You're not opening up the garbage and taking up space
Yep.
in that walkway of the van. That's cool. I like that. Let's go in here. Very nice seat. Do you change what comes with the ProMaster standard on the seats?
It's a good question. We buy the original swivel seat from Dodge because, again, we
Okay.
don't want to modify anything. We don't want to touch anything, that, especially when it relates to safety, seat belts, and all that. So this is the original Dodge swivel seat, but we replaced the cover for them.
Oh,
So
okay.
we removed the original black cover.
So the front up here, it's all standard ProMaster stuff. Pretty much like you said, you order everything that comes along with it, all the safety and
Always.
driving assistance.
Yep.
And all that.
A few years ago, the ProMaster was maybe trailing behind all the other ones in terms
Yeah.
of safety. Today, there is more safety feature on the ProMaster than on the Transit or the Sprinter.
Oh, really?
You have of course, like the lane departure system, adaptive cruise control,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have the 360 camera, the digital rear view, blind spot, cross path detection, emergency braking, park assist. So,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, cruise control, all that stuff. Also, I think it just looks better because now we're kind of caught up. Before, we didn't have the same look as they did in Europe. Ducatis?
Yeah, the Fiat Ducato.
Yeah,
And the
Ducato. Yeah.
Yeah, the Fiat Ducato, the Peugeot
Yeah.
Boxer, and the Citroen Jumper,
Yeah.
they share all the same
Basically
body,
yeah.
a little bit of a different engine. But yeah, they brought the newer version. Here's, I mean, to me, ProMaster, Sprinter, Transit, you know, they're all three good trucks to work with. In this case, because we have a European floor plan, the first model of Panoramic was designed on a ProMaster because the ProMaster is wider and it allows us to do that perpendicular bed at the back that
Yeah.
we cannot really do on the Transit or on the Sprinter, because if we do it, we have to put flares
Yeah.
on the side, and then we're losing the big windows and we don't see anything.
Okay.
We want to have a European flavor, but at the same time, because in Europe they don't have these big windows. They
Okay.
have some very tiny windows like other vans will have. So we wanted to combine European design, but also some very North American feature and some more ergonomic, or some things that were important to us. in
Are these
connecting.
special windows you guys get, or?
Well,
Okay.
they're available in the industry. Other manufacturers are also using them. Very common product. This is one area that we like. Like we said earlier, it's nice because we're right by the sliding door.
Yeah.
But also the dining table shows a little bit the flexibility or the ergonomic of the Panoramic. You first see that angle here because as we're moving or when we're driving, you know, we're getting out of this
Yeah.
chair. Maybe we're going to the bathroom. So this angle is to allow you
Saves
know,
your hips.
yes, and you get out of the chair a little
Yeah.
bit easier. We also have that table extension. So
Okay,
if
cool.
you're sitting there, we can have you if you
Okay,
need
and then
more.
I could still do this thing
Yeah.
that you. Oh, nice. Okay.
If I'm prepping food and I want more counter space, I could
could use it,
also use
yeah.
it like that.
And I
So-
like that, and this feels more stable than you usually. If you notice, like I'm putting pressure on it, it's not
Yes.
flexing. Yeah, that's
Yes,
cool.
it's a very strong, nice table. At the same time, it's pretty lightweight. And what is also nice is that I will be able to adjust for my guest. Like, for example, if I'm working from the driver's seat, I might pull the table towards
Closer.
me a little bit. If I need more room here, I would do that. But sometimes if I'm watching TV from there and I want to put my feet on the bench seat, then sometimes I just push the table back to give myself more space in the driver's seat. We have a lot of people working from the van, so of course we do have USB, USB-C here by the table. We have induction charger here on the side, so I can put my phone there. And you might have noticed that right here under the table we also have power, so of course I need to charge my laptop, so I will use that convenient office for somebody who spend a lot of time working from the van.
So you've got track lighting there as well. That's cool.
Yeah. And these are like adjustable.
Oh, cool.
So they're more like reading lights. Depending on what we do, we need different lights for different things. Like we want to have something to illuminate the table if all my lights are not open, or if my partner is sleeping at the back and I want to have light on the table. So I would use that light. Same thing for the counter here. I have surface lighting, so I can open just this light and not all the lights of the van.
I like what you've done. I noticed the ceiling is white, and then the cabinetry is also, at least on the doors, white as well, right? That's all deliberate.
Easy for maintenance, easy to clean, lighter color, a soft close, of course, for the doors, those nice push locks. You know that space on the ProMaster, we've added a door because you know people are stuffing all kinds of things, and you know, although we could leave it open, we still like everything that is perfectly in place or perfectly hidden, so the door is
very wide pizza oven. Does that go all goes back pretty far? Okay,
all the way up.
This bulkhead up here, this is all insulated.
Plastic tray there is original Dutch. We just covered that.
Oh, and including this, you're covering over it here too?
This is original Dutch.
Right.
And this part, like the cabin, we don't insulate like that part of the cabin, so that's why people refer to this as the pizza oven. Is that in the summer this part can get hot, but in terms of insulation capacity, because the van is so well insulated, these things, or the fact that we use a single pane window, that have not affected our ability to reach the gold certification. Skylight.
Yes.
Yeah, always
so
nice.
So every panoramic has this, of course, right?
Very easy to use, easy to open. Now it was locked in the middle position because sometimes if there's a lot of wind, we can use those middle position. You also have mosquito screen here, so the bugs stay out. And then when we close it, simply push back, it's locked in place.
Super easy,
and
then you can black it out.
Yeah.
Is this storage here?
Yeah, that's what we usually call the shoe compartment.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
so
nice.
There is shelf.
That's a lot of storage too.
Yep, adjustable shelf, and you can put a lot of pairs of shoes. And if you have more than that, which many people have more than that, there's
nice.
also
you can access it from here.
Yes, this is a little bit what we would call our safe box, because you know, nobody will think about looking in there. Usually that's where we will store our cameras or laptop. You also notice
there's more here.
Yeah, but I think it might be covered with the wrap. You can try, but
I don't know if it can. We open it? Let's see.
Oh, yeah,
you can open it. Oh, cool. Oh yeah, that's a pretty big storage box here. Yeah, so this is your jack, it feels like.
Compressor. Yeah.
Because the ProMaster typically does not come with a spare.
That's correct, and it comes with a compressor and a sealant. But on the G model, because we run on fuel instead of propane, that allows us to remove the propane canister from under the chassis, and then we can add the spare tire option. Now it's an option. It's something that if you want to have, you can add it or you can delete it.
Yeah, some people just feel better with it. Yeah.
Everybody should know that changing a tire on a van like that can be quite a challenge.
I would just call roadside assistance, or we have AAA for which you can get the RV AAA.
And make sure you always have enough beer or enough wine in the fridge.
It could be dangerous, but I know there's very capable people. I'm not necessarily that capable, but there's very capable people out there who want to do everything themselves, which, you know, I'm a fan of that. I support that. But yeah, I would just call AAA. So does this become a bed? That's kind of what I've heard. Do we want to show that?
Yeah, of
Here,
course.
I'll step out. I'll let Lola come in here.
You won't have to go too far. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to swivel the chair sideways, because right now, if I leave it like that, it won't give me sufficient length. And you're going to see the bed is not meant, you know, for long-term use. It's really meant for the grandkids and or short trips, although I've done some long trips
just
with
goes
that.
right down. Okay.
So pretty easy, and then it's just a matter of moving the cushion. So I will remove this cushion from the seat belt.
Yep. So yeah, obviously these seat belts are all framed, full tested.
Usually what I do to make this a little bit better in terms of sleeping position, I prefer to use this one with the little lumbar support there.
Okay.
So that is usually how it will go.
Okay.
And you see that, you know, I still have some space. I'm 5'7". I had some friends 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", sleeping on this bed.
Yeah.
Now, I've spent myself a full week here. It's good. It's pretty good. I usually put some kind of blankets on top to make it more even. But you could also use a full, like, inflatable mattress and put it here to have a more level space. This is pretty comfortable because of that lumbar support. I could also remove completely the leg if I wanted to store the table in the cargo compartment.
Yeah, then you'd have a lot of room here. People always ask me, like, I've had that question, what do I do with my dogs? Can I buckle my dogs in?
You should.
There's other devices for that, right? You don't use this down here, right?
Normally people will clip straight into here, or they will clip in the structure ring. So I'm not super familiar with this because I don't travel with a dog, but I know that I have customer who will, for them it's
That's how they
important.
do it? Okay, cool. If people really want to see that, let me know, and I'll like spend some time, I'll do a video just on that.
Of course we can finish
the TV?
with the TV, just because of course it slides, of course it swivel around, so if you want to watch it from the bedroom at the back.
Oh, it goes all the way? Okay,
yes.
cool, yeah. All the
so
way
we
flat.
could put our pillows in the back doors and we could watch a movie. I know we have a lot of things to do when we travel, so maybe not so much time to watch the TV, but once in a while, you know, it's nice to be away from our phone screen or tablet.
Is this wired for Starlink or anything like that?
In my testing of Starlink, what I realized, I used to have the big antennas, the mobile high performance antenna, and some people will like that experience. So when you use that big antenna that is glued to the roof, then you have a problem, is that you can never park under a tree or under the shade because you don't have the connection to the satellite. I was always stuck. I could never be under the shade. I always had to park where there was no tree. Now with the new Starlink Mini, that antenna is much smaller, so it's easier to put in my cabinet. And usually what I will do is I will open the skylight, just put the antenna on the solar panel on top. And if I'm parked under a tree, well, I don't need to move the van. I can take this mini antenna and I can
put it outside.
outside.
Because it just needs to look straight up to the sky. I have the magnetic mount on mine, like you're saying. If I need to move it around or even put it on another vehicle, just unplug it, magnetize it, move it around. With this, you could probably even put it here on this table and it would just go.
Maybe.
Because in my Cybertruck, it goes right through the glass.
Okay.
Yeah. And we might get something, you know, next thing you know, they'll turn around and we'll have even a completely different device.
And that's true. That's what I noticed. You know, we try to adapt, and very quickly, you know, they keep changing technology. I expect the next one will be
really
like
small.
phone size.
And they just bought like a new Spectrum and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff going on. Okay, so this is our galley.
Like we said earlier, this one is the Classic, so runs with that dual burner propane stovetop. You saw that little locking mechanism. So
and this is metal,
and it's also protective, so when you're cooking, you know, you're not splashing in the window, but you're splashing onto that cover. Of course, it's an electric piezo to light the propane up. Then nice sink. This is something that we like because the sink is very unique. On the Panoramic, it's a very fine, very high quality stainless steel sink. You can see that this is a welded sink. It's not just an emboss sink. This is very rigid, very durable. Also have sound absorber on the exterior of the sink. So
I'm pushing on it. Yeah, it's none.
And you drop, you know, cutlery in there, and the sound absorber will reduce that vibration and noise. There's also a cover that goes here. It's stored here.
Let's open
actually.
all the drawers. People like to see every single drawer.
So
open.
now this is wrapped in the bubble, but this is covered with that little hole here. So if you have a little bit of a water drop, instead of falling on the counter, it goes straight into that opening. Now we're a little bit at an angle, so this might not fully close, but normally on a flat surface, those drawers are meant to be soft closing and fully closing. This is nice with that mechanism. You raise the bar, that will unlock the mechanism and you pull. But then when they go, they will soft close.
There you go.
Now they lock by themselves. Yeah, and again,
let's see that one. Okay.
Third one. Still, it was important also for us that when I'm cooking and I'm reaching out, you have no place to stand in the van when you open them. You see that behind me right now, those roll-up doors of the bathroom are open. And
so
that changed a lot because, you know, if I'm reaching down, if the doors would always be closed, if it would be a hard door, I would be already against the wall.
This walkway is also angled, I noticed.
You see, we want to have something round, but here is our wardrobe. So we need a little bit more depth to fit a hanger, coat hanger.
Oh, that's what's right there? Nice.
Yes, so we need the depth, but at the same time, when we arrive here, we cannot have that.
So you can put a full-size suit jacket or coat, whatever.
So
it can go
here
right
now, there is a adjustable shelf because sometimes people don't use so much of the wardrobe space. But if you want, you can just take that shelf, and then when you hang a suit, it will hang pretty much right there on the floor. And you have all the width of this, so it's a lot of space to enclose in a camper van like that.
Oh, that's cool.
We have a microwave here, but we have a lot of people who like to bring air fryers, pressure cooker, smart toaster oven. Well, usually they will be able under the shelf to fit those equipment and still use and put coats and different things. You know, they'll be curved a little bit on the shelf.
If we can, let's cover this cabinet and the microwave, and then I want to come back to what's here at the door. But
and you see also adjustable shelf. Again, you know, we want to give more flexibility, more adjustabilities. Then of course, we also have that picture frames. Sometimes
I was going to ask you about that.
This is also a mirror.
Awesome. One of the things I really like about this, just looking at it, is even sitting here, I could see out that window, like you were saying.
Yes.
Before we go to the bathroom, let's just go to the controls here at the door. Is there an app that's available for this, or everything a manual switches? How does that work?
So there are different apps available depending on what you need to do or what you want to verify. So I'll go quickly. Master electrical power, master propane switch. The Combi G version, we wouldn't have the propane switch.
Okay.
Battery monitor, the Victron. So that, of course, you can connect with the Victron app and have an instant.
Oh, you can, right. Yeah, so like right now we're 99.6% battery.
Yep. Solar panel, monitor, inverter, monitor, and then our fresh gray, black, and propane tank.
Oh, so you push those. Yeah.
You push those and then you get a reading in percentage. In this case, the truck is pretty much empty. This one is also Bluetooth, so this one can be connected again with an app. So as you're dumping, if you're curious to see
where you're at on that tank.
You can use that. Water pump, awning switch to extend the awning. Control panel is very simple. At the back, the only other thing we have is the Truma control to set the temperature of the heater or the water heater. We also have another crowd that are completely new to spending time in a van or operating a van. So we also need something super simple to operate. We know too many RVs have too many switch, too many things that you need to learn and that you still don't know after 2 years, you know, what is that switch for? What am I supposed to do with this? In the Panoramic, you don't have anything like that. You plug into shore power, all the outlets are alive, not one or two. You turn the inverter on, everything is alive at once, not one or two plugs. Yes, we want to have a machine for those who are expecting the best, but we also want to have a machine that is easy to operate for somebody who is not super technical or does not have the experience.
In line with your panoramic design theory. You made one monolithic bar here.
Yes.
And then put everything in there. That's cool. I like that. You know, you guys pay attention to detail. Yeah.
You know, of course,
Just
when
a
you
rocker
open
switch,
up, there is that little animation
right
also
there.
of the panoramic
Very cool.
logo. So these are small things, but again, it's
classy.
It's important. Yeah. Well, maybe since we were in the kitchen, we can
Oh,
keep
that's
going
right. Yeah,
with the
you're
fridge.
right. You're right.
We use a compressor fridge, of course. I think that most of the camper van companies are going in that direction. Tall vertical fridge. You see that it's not sitting on the floor because we want to have like some elevation because it's easier. I don't have to crawl down on the floor to reach for anything in the fridge. We also have freezer here, and freezer space is pretty nice on this model, and it's 5.3 cubic feet. The other thing that we like to show and that people like about the panoramic is the very big pantry.
There you go.
So in one shot you see everything. I tend to keep the pantry open because I have access to everything, but I can also still open the fridge door at the same time.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing, I don't know if you can see it here, this is, people always talk about that on the panoramic, there's a wine rack there.
Oh.
So some people say it's
really?
very classy, very Frenchy of us to do that.
Oh, yes, awesome.
So, yeah,
that
you
is
can
very
have
classy.
a
And you know, as you travel around the country, you have lots of opportunities to stop in wineries, vineyards and stuff and start your collection of fine wines.
More storage here under the fridge. And also an interesting little detail again, you know, is the little storage but step to go in the bed, because of course, you know, because we raised the bed to create that huge cargo space, well, you know, we want to make the entrance in the bed a little bit easier.
What is the brand name of this fridge?
It's a Norcold.
Norcold, okay.
Yeah. I think that I will just repeat the size of the tank just because I don't remember if we mentioned all three of them.
Definitely repeat it again, yeah.
Freshwater tank 35 gallon, gray water tank 24 gallon, and black water tank 16 gallon.
I think average in the industry for the freshwater is somewhere between like 25 and 30.
Usually we will be able to take between 6, 7, even 8 showers with 35 gallon. This is also in addition of using water for the dishes and for other things.
Let's take a look at these doors again.
Yeah.
So they're definitely on a track.
They're on a track. There are lots of questions also about the rattling, but you can see that these tracks are pretty tight. There are many manufacturers of that kind of door out there, but we used one of a very high quality, so there's no rattling when you drive, there's no wiggling around or anything. But the nice thing about these doors is that, you know, it gives me access to the window on the other side.
That is the biggest window I've seen in a bathroom.
Of course.
And it's awesome.
I always like to have a view no matter what I do, so why not have a view?
Congratulations on that. That is really nice. I like that. Yes, of course. I like to have a view too.
And you know, the really nice feature, the shower is really the thermostatic shower valve.
Okay.
Because this shower valve will give you very good pressure in the shower, but also when you set your temperature, the first time you adjust your temperature.
Is that what's going on there? Okay.
Yeah, this is the temperature valve. So you adjust the temperature to how you like it, and then you never touch the temperature again. You just open, and then you're straight on your favorite temperature.
Okay.
You close it.
So only that temperature comes through.
Yes. Sometimes people are confused. They think wet bath, dry bath, toilet will get all wet. The toilet paper, you know, how can they do this? How can they take a shower in there? Well, here's how we do it. So you notice we have a little piece of Velcro here. It's perfectly lined up under the cabinetry. Another piece of Velcro here, perfectly lined up under the cabinet. So now I'm able to wrap the whole toilet like that, so no water will go on the toilet. No water will go on the toilet paper that remains there. Now I just want to have access to the on and off of the water. So here I have it.
Oh, I see.
My shower is there, and now I'm gonna fully close the curtain. There are Velcros here that will attach, so everything will attach together. Two interesting things because of the curtain. You know, we could add, we could spray water everywhere. I mean, other bathrooms are made with plastic walls. In this case, the two nice things is that when I close this, I don't need to close the door, so I have more elbow room. The curtain is my only limit, so I can push in that, but the best feature of all is that when I'm done with the shower, in just a few seconds, I can remove everything and leave this to dry, and my shower will be perfectly dry. After 1 year, 2 year, I don't end up with mildew on the silicone joint or anywhere else.
Is this like a special kind of shower curtain?
So we find a curtain that is plastic, like PVC coated, so all the water does not go through, so all the water will be contained inside, but it's machine washable. And small things, again, you know, we use special mat, you see with these little dots.
So that's somewhat new. I see a lot of people, and I don't know, maybe you've been doing this for a while, a lot of people kind of have the wood, like a wood thing going across here. What is this one called? This is my first time seeing this particular.
This one is called a dry deck.
Dry deck. Oh, I see it. Okay.
And this one,
cool.
we buy those style and then we cut them properly. They are definitely more expensive than all the other things that you can buy. But again, they are super nice, and over time they last.
They last longer.
Well. Yeah.
Okay.
Easy. Again, we're trying to save the water, and here, because we have the Truma Combi or Truma Combi G, it means that we have the one unit that works both for the heater and the water heater. But that unit takes 15 minutes to 20 minutes to heat up water to the perfect temperature for the shower. Again, the goal of the military shower sometimes is more to save water.
Do people ever ask you about those recirculating water systems?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, I've met manufacturers of these systems. So far, I don't think I've seen any system that is UL approved. I haven't seen anything also that is FDA approved for consumption, or we also have to think about how compact is this for a camper van. So I've seen a lot of home video people who have done a different system. I've seen also a system 6 or 7 years ago in Europe. There was a company manufacturing a system. They never got approval.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, I think we were talking about it before we started the video, is the dry flush. I'm sure there's going to be people in here asking me, you know, what about dry flush?
We could do a whole video on that. Toilet is always something that is more a big worry for a lot of people who never had a van. I think that the RVIA survey a couple of years ago showed that a lot of people wanted to buy a van or wanted to buy an RV, but their biggest fear was dumping the tank. They said, you know, we're afraid of doing that. We don't know how easy it's going to be. We're afraid it's going to be gross and nasty, and we don't know how we're going to handle this. You and me know how easy it is.
It's not so bad at all.
It's pretty easy, and it's not that gross, because of course when we dump the black water from the toilet, shortly after we dump the gray water, it cleans, you know, pretty much everything. So when you do it once, you realize, you know, you had fear for nothing. It remains to this day something that people are still trying to find a better solution. For a certain number of years, manufacturer developing RVs, camper van with cassette toilet. The main goal was to save money, because of course cassette toilet is pretty cheap, so it's easy. That was sold to the customer like, oh, you know, that's how they do it in Europe.
Big deal,
It's no big deal, and you're going to handle
But
that
I think
way.
people find, and I'm not trying to knock it, because I think the cassette, it's really not difficult if you know what you're doing. But a lot of people have even more trepidation about using the cassette. I think is what I hear from people.
Or you mean
they kind of get sold that, hey, the cassette's going to be easier, but then they don't feel like it. So Lola and I have tried out the cassette, and I always tell Lola I'm the captain. So she's got to do it, and she's like, no, I'm not doing it. So, you know, I think people even more don't want to do it versus the black tank, right? And I don't think, like you said, I don't think the black tank's difficult. You just need to know what you're doing and have a good hose connection.
And the cassette is a system that works really well in Europe, but in Europe, the campgrounds, the installation, the dumping station, the cleaning station for the cassette are completely different. Here, they're non-existent. I would say that it's an interesting alternative, and especially for us Canadian in the winter. In the winter use, if we're using bag, it's interesting, but I've been testing a different product for a certain time now, and one thing that I realize is that I like it for the winter, but for the summer, I discovered that I was giving myself a little bit more problem because at a certain point, you have bags accumulating and you go to the toilet quite often. I mean, I go quite often, and you know, every time it seals a bag, it also encapsulates a little bit of air, so it has a certain volume to it.
Right,
and
like a balloon.
Like a balloon. And of course, 2-3 balloons like that, you saw the size of the garbage can. You know, I don't have a 40-gallon canister for my garbage.
That's true. That's true. That's what matters.
In the bedroom, if we are back here,
Yeah.
I think we mentioned some of these things. You know, on the right side, we have the Truma control for the heater and water heater. Again, one of the reasons why we have this control here instead of with the main control panel. When I wake up in the morning, I want to crank the heater sometime, or I want to start the water heater from the bed. I don't want to walk half naked. So for me, it's very important. Or sometimes it's.
I mean, the Truma, you could set it so you could put it on a timer, but I've never. You can do it, but I've never done it.
I think it's meant for people, you know, on a schedule. They say every morning at 6, I want to be in the shower. Then you can program that. The goal here is to have more flexibility when we travel.
I like that you have the track lighting here, and then you've got also
USB-C and
USB-C
and
there
12
as well.
volt also, because like we mentioned earlier, some customer might need a CPAP. We also have these little drop pockets here, so we can put our phone here at night. And
is this a polymer material? I noticed you have this throughout the van. You guys
it's
designed
like
this?
ABS.
Oh, cool.
Because it's easy to clean. I mean, sometimes fabric is also possible, but this is super.
This is very tough, in
terms of germ, in terms of cleaning or splashing or anything.
If you splash your hot chocolate that you're having your cookies with back here.
And then of course we also have 3-way light switch. So of course these are the same for the ceiling. So if you want to close the light, you don't need to go all the way back front to close these lights. You can just operate it here. We also have these little space, we call them libraries. So we have them opposed to each other, so each one can have a few books on the shelf. And of course there is a little hedge here so the books are not falling off. Again, cabinet, shelf to make these space bigger.
And those are adjustable here. I'll open up this one.
Not those ones at the back.
Oh, okay.
Because you know the ones at the front, sometimes this is a little bit easier sometimes to compress close.
Okay.
So the adjustability does not bring as much as when we are in front, when we have more food or more square item, boxed item.
Okay.
And same thing on the other side. Pocket there. And we've got the 12 volt there at the back if we want to connect additional adapter or different things.
And I think this is what you were saying with the sleep machine. If you get that adapter, you can use this.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then obviously we've got the blinds on both sides.
We also have a pretty good mattress on the Panoramic. This was already always the standard mattress, but it's a very nice, very soft, very high quality mattress. But we also have a Supreme mattress. It's a common option. It's a half foam and half latex. You know, we wanted to take the comfort of the bed to another level. So I can tell you that, or when you try the Supreme mattress, you quickly realize that, you know, even in $1 million motorhome, you're not provided with that kind of mattress.
Lola will be going to the Supreme mattress option.
Unfortunately, sometimes our industry is very often about making it profit oriented. So companies,
or selling it at a certain price point, because I think sometimes the consumer is looking for stuff at a certain price point. I would recommend spending a little bit more money because you're really going to, you know, get what you pay for. But maybe, you know, in the beginning, I think a lot of people are worried about that.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, we try to keep the pricing into a certain limit. So sometimes I've seen a lot of RVs, the mattress, people throw them away after a month, or they add toppers on them. So that's why when we developed this one, we made sure that people would not throw it away because it would be comfortable from the beginning. And then we said, let's go like a step above that. Let's do an option for people who want to have the best of the best, and we introduced the Supreme mattress.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And then I see this is the blind you were discussing here.
Yeah, I can show it to you. So very, very simple. It's just a matter of stretching that here.
Okay. Then it creates that block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to say that you're making noise on the other side,
You'll hear it.
You'll hear the noise,
For sure,
but
yeah.
it's just for light, and just sometimes, you know, if you want to stay in bed a little bit longer, it gives you privacy.
Obviously, you've got the Truma Venta, which I think is a great AC.
Yeah, definitely the most quiet of these type of our AC. I think that the big question sometimes is companies sometimes moving to the 12-volt AC, but they don't have the power, the BTU power for Florida or
like the humidity.
Yes.
Yeah, those sometimes, like we've noticed in 48, somewhere between 36 and 48 hours, they'll dump a lot of water on you or stop working.
Sometimes if you want to have full power, you need to be connected on 120 volts. So yes, this one will be more efficient, very quiet, so you can run it on batteries. But if you're spending a week in the summer of Florida, you know you need to run that AC 24/7, and then you're gonna need to connect, and you need to have the power, like it says, pretty much 15,000 BTU of cooling power.
Okay. Yes, you do. But what I do like about this, it seems to me, if you sit back, you're not like bumping your head and stuff like that.
Yep. And this is really meant, again, you know, everything in terms of the distance, whether you would be a little bit taller, everything is meant to be easy without knocking your head. But at the same time, the cabinets are fairly big because we want to put enough clothes in there. Sometimes, you know, if you don't have storage, what do you have? You know, we're traveling, it's a house on wheels, so we need to be able to store enough things.
My only question is, have you ever considered like doing soft bags back here or doing like a half a cabinet?
But that's the design, you know.
It kind of changes the whole flow of what's happening, right?
Yeah. What we like is to have something, you know, very pure, very nice, very functional. For example, in the cargo space, we also did a special storage unit because over the year we noticed that our customer, they were building all kind of storage units themselves.
Down here?
Yeah, and they built horizontal shelf, they built...
a big slide out is what I would do.
But you know what we realized, and this is because we analyzed these things, I mean, we receive hundreds of pictures of all the people who did something, and if you do horizontal slide, you're losing the full height. If you're doing vertical thing, then you're losing the width of the vehicle. So what we ended up doing was like a kind of a unit that sits on the right side. It doesn't have full height, it doesn't have full width, so you can still use full height or full width.
Okay.
We have that cargo door.
Right.
So of course, sometimes, I don't know, I'm gonna be in the way a little bit, but sometimes if I'm storing additional, you know, food items or something, I can put them here and have direct access from. But also if I would have a cradle for the dog or something right here under the bed, maybe what I would like to do is remove this panel.
Okay.
So we can simply slide this panel and put it there. So now the space will be fully open. Let's say that I'm flipping the bed and I want to bring a paddle board or something bigger inside. Well, I would have like the full length and the full space.
Oh, that's cool. So that door comes off. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Philippe, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. I think we were very thorough. We went through a lot of details here on the Classic Panoramic. If folks out there want to get more that we did not cover, because I'm sure we left something out, how do they get to see that? Yeah,
well, the first thing, they can probably visit the website, panoramicrv.com. They can see a ton of videos online with more information, more walkthrough on the Panoramic Classic, the G, the perspective on the Ford Transit, so, and the GL, the new model on the ProMaster, so they can see that on the website, but they can also give us a call. We love to talk to people, so they can call us directly. We have a network of dealers in the US, but sometimes it's easier. They can reach out to us, and then we can guide them into, depending on in which state they are, in which, you know, where they can go to find our product and how we can help them better with service or warranty. So
thanks so much for doing that and being so patient. I think this one will go for the record books probably, at least a nice hour and a half to 2 hours. But there's so much detail in here, and this is my first time like really getting my eyes and my hands on it, and I appreciate that. I think you have a van here that stands out.
Thank you.
And you've done a very good job of styling and designing it. So for all the people who have asked me to take a look, There you go. Very detailed look on this.
But next thing is the perspective. We
There
have
you go,
to
the
show
perspective. I know. Yeah, the forward.
We keep a surprise for
Yes,
you.
I'm sure people are asking. So we'll make some plans and we'll figure out how to do that. It is available here in America,
Already.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so there you go. So stay tuned for that one. Big thanks to Lola. She's been very patient with us
Thank you.
through the whole thing. So thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Philippe.
you so much.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.